Good morning, everyone, and happy Monday. I hope everybody had a great weekend. I'm still working on my coffee here this bright morning. It was kind of cloudy and rainy here in SoCal. It was kind of an odd weekend that way. We tried to go to the beach, just couldn't get there. I had friends up north, again, sending me snow photos. It went from 70 to 34 a few days in a row there, so they couldn't decide if they should be putting on shorts or keeping on their winter jackets. Felt kind of bad for them. Uh, so yeah, it's been raining for a lot of this week, and I'm flying up to Portland after this, so I'm guessing I'm just going to have to get used to the rain. So this week we're going to focus on kind of the concept of listening honestly and reasons that customers don't buy. This Zig Ziglar quote made me think about the reasons why customers don't buy. You can have everything in life that you want if you just give enough other people what they want. So it's true. Since selling, what we are really doing is problem fixing, especially in the accident and health sector. The whole concept of selling is listening to the problem and matching them to the correct solution, and that way it's easier to close the sale. So happy Motivation Monday. Again, here's kind of the layout. So tip of the week, we're going to go through some AHCP trends. They were really good trends this week, so that's going to be really awesome to go through. And then in the end, we're going to end with the sales technique, which is the reasons why customers don't buy. So tip of the previous week, as far as it goes, with the sales incentives by carriers, if you have not taken a look at it, we walked through the different carriers that are offering some pretty great sales incentives, including trips to Panama and Mexico and Ireland. That would be really fun to do. So if you have not, go under the carriers where it says current sales incentives. Click on that, and that will show you what sales incentives are out there for you. So tips of the week, as far as it goes with NHIC, just to let you know, I was talking to Agent Services, and they just wanted to let everybody know that with NHIC products, so the Intrium Care, the TrioMed, use it in Chrome. If you have not downloaded Google Chrome on your computer, definitely do so. It's a really great browser. It's fairly safe to do as well. It says that the caringbenefits.com for the most part works best there. And then the second tip of the week is stay on top of your licenses. They said they've been having a lot of agents that have been having kind of issues with their licenses almost lapping there. So try to stay on top of them. Keep up with that as best as possible. If you have any questions, feel free to contact Agent Services. Their number is there. Reach out to them. We have a great team for you to use. Don't be shy. I can tell you I'm not with them. I kind of like to harass them a little bit. You should be as well. It's one of the benefits of working with AHCP. So some of the trends for the week. As far as it goes, with major medical, again, there's literally no change. It is just staying completely flat as far as sales go. So we're kind of into that, the special enrollment period, working with qualified life events, no big changes there. But as far as it goes with short term, there's a pretty big increase. There's about a 20% increase in short term last week. Big states that were getting a lot of business in last week were Florida and then Indiana. So a lot of the sales coming from that. NHIC is still leading the short term. And just to let you know, short term is about 15% of all applications written. So just raw number of applications, taking a look at everything that came in through AHCP. Short term is about 15%. So that's a pretty good volume there. As far as it goes with those accident policies as well, they have increased. They had a 14% increase, seeing some golden rule come through, actually a lot of golden rule come through, I shouldn't say some, as well as those, the Gap Plus, and then those time insurance company plans, those old insurance plans, which are now considered time insurance company. Those were about 11% of all raw sales, taking a look. So basically everybody who's selling a short term, it is coming with an accident plan or a TrioMed, almost guaranteed. Some people are doing a really good job creating those ancillary packages for the agents and for their clients to let them know that, this is kind of what you had at work, that when you lost it, when you lost all those disability insurances, this is something that will kind of help. Works a little different though. With critical illness, it had an increase of 40%. That was pretty big. So critical illness is back into the picture. With that, it was mainly Colorado Bankers Life as usual. It seems to dominate the critical illness policies. About 85% of all the sales for critical illness were CBL. And then dental also had a fairly large increase. It basically doubled since last week. So it seems like people are really jumping on the dental bandwagon. One thing, if you are having any issues with your star mount appointment process, please reach out to agent services. I understand some people are having those issues. Myself, I got about 4 or 5 emails with those issues last week. Reach out to them. They've been troubleshooting it. They've been working with StarMount trying to make that process as smooth as possible for you. Understand there are going to be some bumps in the road, but take a look at that StarMount process. Again, if you haven't actually got appointed for StarMount, I believe it's free to do. So I would take a look at that, especially if you are appointed with NHIC, which almost all of you are. Jump on the StarMount bandwagon. Expands your portfolio, and if it's not really going to cost you anything, not a lot of losses in your court. So that was kind of the trends. Overall, it was just a large increase in sales week. It was probably about a 20% increase in sales. So it's kind of ramping up. I'll tell you from all my experience working in health insurance, traditionally March and April were kind of the harder months. So we are going through at least the low right now. So knowing that we are going there and we're starting to ramp up again, that's really good, especially as far as our paychecks go, meaning that we're going to be back to those nice bonuses pretty soon. So as far as it goes for the sales technique, this is one that people like to talk about a lot. If you have been in sales for any length of time, you know the concept of you can take a yes or a no, but you can't take a maybe. Well, today we're going to talk about the no. Everybody likes to celebrate the yes. The yeses are the reasons why we're in sales. We like to win. Most of us are fairly competitive, but the no is so important. It's really important to understand the reasons why your customers don't buy, because if you can figure out why they aren't buying, you can catch the trend and make the adjustments in your sales process, and in return, raise your closing rate. Kind of basic there. I'm not going to lie, if closing is something you're having troubles with, understanding the why will help you increase your closing percentage. Again, closing is not a contest of who has that biggest stick and who can hit the client over the head the hardest. It's really a contest of who's listened the best, who's listened to what your client wanted, to their needs, to their story, made them feel heard, and then fixed their problem. I mean, sales, as I said in the beginning, it's really, if you strip away all those fancy words, you strip away the predicates, all the steps, the philosophies, it's really just listening and fixing problems. That is what sales is. We are problem fixers. We are solution sellers. That is what we do. I know it sounds simple. We all know it's not. So there are my personal opinion, there are 3 main reasons why customers don't buy. You've probably heard thousands of different reasons in all your times of sales. But if you break them into categories, there are really 3 main buckets that customers don't buy. Now, saying 3 though, I am going to have to make 2 rash assumptions here. That first assumption is yes, you are talking to the decision maker. That is one of the side reasons people don't buy, is because you're actually not talking to who's going to be the purchase. That is a different story. And that's something else we could talk about if you're having issues with that. And that you know that the product you are pitching is available for sales in the state. 2 side reasons people don't buy is A, you're not talking to the decision maker, or 2, you can't sell the product. So as long as you know those 2, it's really going to be 3 main reasons. The first reason is price, and you're thinking price, well, duh, that's very obvious. Well, there's obviously the concept of the raw price of the product, but there's also the concept that the product you're presenting doesn't have an accurately perceived value. So if there's not enough value in the product, the customer will not buy it in any situation. And when I talk about painting that picture, using examples to talk through the way your product works and to make that really clear picture for your client, this is why. When you're painting that picture, you're painting the value for the customer in their mind. You're letting them weigh the risks and the benefits and come to the conclusion that yes, this product is really worth what you're stating. Honestly, I can't tell you how many times after a customer has purchased, I've talked to them about the other products they were buying as we're going through and filling out the application, especially over the phone. And I find out that the other agent has pitched almost the exact same product. So those customers had the same product presented to them twice. And why didn't that customer buy from the other agent? Well, we both had the same product. We found the same problem that the client had. We both fixed it. It's because I made value for that client. easy way to fix this is talk about, well, earlier you told me, and start painting that picture for that client. As we talked about a couple weeks ago, people really care about themselves. We are all selfish animals, and we have to admit that. That is okay. So when you tell them, hey, earlier you told me, it's like, oh, this is about me. I'm going to start listening. And there you can start painting that picture. Earlier you told me in the past you've fallen and broken a bone in an accident. This is how that works. Talk to them and weave that picture. Make them understand the value, right? What you're really doing here is you are selling savings and value instead of just a raw price. We talked about the concept of holding off, going through what the actual price of the product is until you're completely done presenting the product. That is kind of important to do because then you can let them build the value. If they're asking about price, don't worry, I kept this within your budget. If you did quality fact finding, you know exactly what their budget is. Don't worry, this is within your budget. I just want to go through the benefits, make sure that these are the benefits that work for you. If these are not the correct benefits, we can absolutely make any adjustments that we need to. So keep in mind, price is not just raw money, but it's also the concept of perceived value. This is also one of the reasons why adding dental is a great idea. You can kind of giggle about it a bit. I know we don't make a ton off dental, and dental is pretty cheap, but it's because that's the product they are going to use and they perceive a lot of value in. Honestly, if you sit there and you start breaking down the cost of dental, especially with a client, if I'm going to pick on Time Insurance Company Dental just because that one's I know very, very well, it's $1,550 a month. That's $186 a year. It gives you $75 twice a year. That's really going to bring the plan down to $36, which really means for $3 a month, your client can have dental. $3 a month. They can definitely see value in that. Plus, they're going to walk in and use that right away. So it's something that they're going to be able to perceive value in. So sometimes people are going to say, you know what, this is too expensive. When you hear that at the end, you really have two things to think about. First job, did you do a good enough job in fact finding? Did you do a good enough job in investigation, finding out what their real need is? And then the second is, did you build enough value when you were presenting the plan? If you do fact finding right, again, that is a large part of your conversation with the client, and that's going to make it easier for you to go through and do the plan presentation. Honestly, fact finding is about 60 to 70% of your conversation with them, and your plan presentation is between 10 and 20%. You just have to be able to find out what the issue is and then paint that clear picture for your client, and that really helps eliminate the price concept. As long as you find out what their real budget is, you should be good to go. Closing the sale after you find the budget shouldn't be something that's too difficult. So the second reason why customers don't buy is really benefits. Are the benefits the right match? So earlier I told you that selling is basically finding a problem and fixing it. Well, the number two reason that people don't buy is that their salesperson does not do a good enough job matching their benefits to their problem. This is something to think about if you're only selling one product consistently. And by one product, I'm not talking about you're just selling short-term. I mean, you're just selling a $5,000 deductible short-term with 100% coinsurance. That is not going to be the right match for everyone. Yes, maybe it's something you're comfortable about and something you're comfortable talking about, but that might not be the best for the customer. You should know what type of person each product you are pitching is best for. Having a solid understanding about how the product work really helps with this. When your customer will buy is really when they know the benefit fits their needs. If their needs are concerned about what happens if they get cancer and you didn't add any special protection for that, why would the customer buy from you? You need to do solid fact finding upfront, and you need to match benefits. You need to ask how they would want to use the insurance and what makes them shop. There's one question I always used to ask to make sure I'm pairing them up as far as it goes with deductible would be, how many times in the past 10 years have you had, or anybody on this plan has spent over $1,000 in medical bills, right? $1,000 in medical bills. Well, some people, $1,000, that is a ton of money. That is really going to hurt the family. If they'd say 1 to 2, I could do a higher deductible plan. If in 10 years they have never spent $1,000 or only once, it's a pretty safe bet that maybe we could go a little higher deductible and give them that extra accident coverage or the extra critical illness coverage. If it was 7 or 8 or 7 to 10, the 10 was one I always felt really bad for. I would go as low of a deductible as possible. Again, benefit matching is extremely important. Going through, really listening to what they say in fact finding, trying to figure out, was this going to be a great high deductible short-term client where I can add the accident, because if they're going to go to the hospital, it is going to be because of that big what if, that big accident. Again, accidents. In my experience, when I worked with by claims, it was about 80% of all the claims were just due to an accident. So that's a pretty large number. The other 20% were basically critical illnesses. So again, with fact finding being 60 to 70% of your sales process, if the customer is not buying due to benefits, again, they're probably not seeing value, but your benefits may not be a solid match. Another thing to take a look for is if the product portfolio you have, the people you are appointed with, offer enough of a variety of benefits. So again, with short terms, make sure that, if your clients are looking for something that really is going to have, more help at the doctor's office, what short terms do you have that are available at your fingertips? If you need to take a look at expanding your product portfolio, contact myself, contact Agent Services. That is what we're here to help you with. And the last one is understanding. This is one of the big ones, that when a client doesn't buy from one of my agents and I call up the client and we just start talking through it, I really want to make sure that they can tell me exactly what the client pitched. What is that product? This one is a little more about how the sales process actually happened. So all of us, we live, we breathe insurance. We can talk about durable medical equipment, out-of-pocket maxes, exclusions, but these don't always make sense to your client. I can't tell you how many clients don't know what a deductible is, and you might kind of giggle because you know what? You've been in insurance for 20 years and you know dang well what a deductible is. Well, if you go and start talking to a different trade, the basics there you may not understand either. You need to make the plan make sense to your client. I can't tell you how much I'll sit with a very experienced agent and they just go through their client. Here's your deductible, here's your coinsurance, here's what your out-of-pocket max, here's how it's going to work if you go to a doctor, here's how it's going to work for prescriptions. Great, you gave them facts. They don't know what that means. You didn't paint a clear picture. You didn't make them understand how their plan works. When somebody leaves your office, they should have a very clear understanding of how everything's going to work. So you know how I know when a client doesn't understand insurance? This one happens to me a lot, and this is including my mother-in-law, actually. So when they say they want an 80-20 plan, if somebody ever says they need an 80-20 plan to me, I know I'm like, okay, you really do not understand how insurance works, so let's slow down and let's make sure you understand everything that's going to go on with this plan. And by everything, I mean understand the things that are important to them. I'm not talking about walking through everything as far as every prescription goes and walking through everything. If there are certain things they're not concerned about, just make sure that you give them the fact on that, but paint the clear picture for the things they actually care about. The number one reason people don't buy is that they don't see value. Then the number 3 reason is really understanding. So the value people understand the product and, maybe the picture wasn't clear enough. The understanding people just don't get it. They just don't get it. You need to be able to assess your client's understanding and go into every conversation assuming that your client has no idea what you're talking about as far as insurance go. I found that they'll let you know if they do. They'll be like, no, I get that, yep. And so you can kind of move on. Just to let you know, it is human nature to agree with somebody even if you don't understand. It's really the speed at how people agree. People do not like to show weakness, especially to salespeople. For some reason, we are scary. So really making sure that they can do it. Another thing is to let them kind of tell you how they think they would use the product to really make sure that they understand. Again, you want to tell the story, you want to paint the picture, you want to let them know. So if you get in the big accident, this is what a deductible does. They're like, okay, great. Okay, after the deductible, there's a coinsurance. So you're still going to be paying until you hit this point. I'm not kidding when I say it. I go into call centers and I help out agents all the time. And a lot of agents don't sell because either the client has no idea as far as understanding goes, or they overcomplicate it and they try to tell them absolutely everything. Really, your client only is going to care about 2 or 3 things. Make sure those 2 or 3 things are what they understand. I had this one happen. So an agent was going through trying to sell a client. They absolutely overcomplicated the sales process. I mean, I was confused at what a max out-of-pocket was by the time that they were done. I'm like, what are you talking about? The client actually decided not to buy. They were really nice. They listened to the whole spiel. They said no, called back in. It was the person right across from him who got the call. Pitched the exact same product. The client even clearly said they did not want to work with the previous agent because they could not understand what he's saying and wound up buying the product. It's really about everybody's heard KISS, keeping it simple. Just keep it simple, keep it relevant, and make sure that their client has some idea about how insurance actually works. Keep in mind your client will tell you in fact finding what they care about. Make sure that they at least understand that part of the plan, right? So if it's going to a doctor, if that is what they're really concerned about, make sure that they have a clear understanding about how going to a doctor works. If prescriptions are what they're worried about, make sure that the prescriptions are very, very clear to them. That way you're going to be able to build the value. Once they understand, then you can actually build the value. As you can kind of see, the 3 reasons clients don't buy really come down to improving fact finding. Honestly, just finding better ways of telling the story in your plan presentation. So it's really, are you finding the right problem, and then are you fixing it through painting a clear picture? Those are the biggest things with all 3 of these, so are you digging enough? Are you going to figure out what value they actually need? And are you going to paint it clear enough for them to have a clear understanding of why they should buy it? So really, that's all it is the 3 main reasons is just finding the issue and making sure you're properly fixing it. If you need any help with these ideas, as usual, feel free to reach out to me. People are doing it fairly consistent. I'm enjoying that. I hope we're all having really good conversations and getting a lot of value. But if you need any help with any of these, do not hesitate. A nice thing too is kind of write down the 3 buckets and figure out with every sale that you're not doing, why they're not buying. I wouldn't keep that piece of paper out too much because it can be kind of beating you up depending on the certain times of year, but it's good to know if there's a certain bucket you think your client's not doing. So if there are any questions on anything from today, or if there's something you want me to cover in next Motivational Monday, please don't be shy. Reach out and use the email address below, training@hcpsales.com. It goes straight to my training box. It goes actually straight to my cell phone as well. So if you have that question, I guarantee about 15 other people do. And so I thought we'd end with a nice listening quote, really. It's about listening first, then selling. So true when it comes to reasons people don't buy. We need to work on our listening skills, making sure we're hearing what the right problems are, and then we can really tell what the client wants. So again, if you need anything, don't hesitate to reach out. Again, it is training@hcpsales.com, and I hope everybody has a great Monday.